Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I'm your host, Harmony, and today I have the pleasure of doing a little solo episode for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about a question that I've been asked a lot by clients lately. I have a lot of different spinal energetic clients. Some come from the yoga world, some come from other realms and worlds. And so people have varying degrees of knowledge about my background. And so often I'm asked about how my business has evolved over the years and how I started working in the realm of spinal energetics and with energy healing. And so this has got me thinking a lot about transformation because I love all of these practices, yoga, pranayama, breath work, spinal energetics, as well as the personal coaching that I do, also the business coaching that I do, because it's really about how we want to change and transform our lives. And our paths aren't always straight. And some of our biggest breakthroughs come through our biggest challenges. So today I'm going to get a little raw and personal with you because I think it might resonate with where you are right now. So I didn't do a degree in business or have any marketing background. I was always very interested in the spiritual realm, in spirituality, in religion, in energy, in altered states of consciousness, in transcendental meditation and transcendental states of consciousness, in the trance state as well. I remember some of my earliest spiritual experiences were probably under the age of 10, where I would go into trance states, either spurred on by a mandala or an image, or just my mom taught me to meditate when I was quite young. I don't think I was actually meditating, but a seed was planted at that time. So I would kind of just zone in on a diagram or an image. My mom had a picture of Sri Yantra on the wall, and I would just stare at it for hours, a long time. Just lying there, relaxed, staring at this image, letting the interlocking triangles kind of open and expand into that sense of spaciousness in my mind, in my body. So I had a real attraction towards these things. And obviously everyone's path sort of changes as they move through those school years. But I think I stayed pretty true to my heart. I always followed where the energy was, what was lighting me up. And I think that that's one of the biggest lessons and takeaways I have when I look back on my journey is I really went with the aliveness. When I was a ballet dancer, I went with what felt really good, really exciting for me. I always really followed what was exciting, what felt exciting. Even when I worked at a bank shortly after graduating high school for a few years, I found it really exciting. I had this thought, like maybe I would be an investment banker, and I really got into it. I did my securities course. I studied about how to help people invest in mutual funds and became a personal banker. And for a brief moment in time, it was really exciting and lighting me up until it wasn't. And then I went back to university and started studying what was really lighting me up, what was really exciting for me at that time, which was philosophy, and back to my roots in religious studies. But specifically, I started to study Buddhism. And I love the Buddhist philosophy because it's so simple and it's open to everyone. And you don't have to even be Buddhist. It's just teaching you how to observe reality as it is and observe how we make meaning out of things and we don't need to. and that nothing actually has any true meaning. It's just the meaning that we're giving it. And so Buddhism really became a deep interest of mine, as well as existentialism, also related to the problem of mind, the problem of self, the problem of identity, all of these things. And I went to China in 2002 to study Buddhist meditation and returned a young, eager yoga teacher looking for classes. And I just started saying yes to everything. Someone would say, could you sub this class? Yes. Can you do this class? Yes. I just kind of put any sort of personal preferences to the side and just said yes to everything. I even taught a Pilates class with no Pilates training. My friend that I was living with at the time, she was my roommate. She had some Pilates VHS videos and I threw them in and took notes and did some Pilates. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can do this. So looking back, I think this enthusiasm that I had, a willingness to just trust that I could, figure it out, really, really helped me in my career and in how I grew through all of these different stages and iterations of my business. At that time, too, I didn't really know much about business. I knew about investing a little bit and about money, but I didn't know about how to run a business. I had no business plan. I had no business strategy. And really, my first year as a sole proprietor, I hired an accountant to help me file my taxes. And that was really the first time I understood that, oh, you can write off expenses. So I started keeping track of my mileage on my car when I was driving to all the yoga classes. I started keeping track of any investments I was making, supplies, or not big investments as in financial investments, but like trainings or workshops or education. And realizing that I could live a really nice life, the kind of life I wanted to live, where I could do the kinds of things I wanted to do because I loved what I was doing. And I loved getting the education in it. And I could write it off as a business expense because it was always in service to my personal growth and development and to expanding my connections, my network, and the business that I was working in for myself at that time. So each time I would just kind of keep taking these little steps forward, not really having a clear direction or even a big goal. It was just really following what was lighting me up. And one of the things that was really exciting for me was to go to India. And so I went to India and went to the source, to Mysore, to study with Pattabhi Jois and Sharat Jois. And that opened up a whole new world, of course, because as your network expands, more opportunities, more connections start to unfold for you, especially when you're in the business of doing things that you enjoy, because you feel alive when you're doing those things. So I came back from my first trip to Mysore in 2004 and was offered a position to open the first Mysore-style Ashtanga yoga class in Calgary, which I did, and I taught there for a few months before I moved to Thailand and took a job managing a retreat center there, teaching retreats and teacher trainings and helping another Ashtanga yoga certified teacher who that was his business. He had a retreat center. At that time, it was called Yoga Thailand. Now it's called Yoga Samhita, and it's on Koh Samui. I lived there for 3 years and started to understand a little bit more about building a business, but still not too much, still just really following what was lighting me up in the aliveness. And that then led to me going to Goa and living in Goa, helping out at the Purple Valley Retreat Center, helping out with managing and teaching many retreats. And finally, of course, many visits to Mysore, India at this time to deepen my own training and my own study of philosophy and chanting and pranayama and all of the things. But eventually I wanted to move back to Canada. And so in 2009, my business partner and husband at the time, Jeff Lichty, and I moved to Victoria, British Columbia, a beautiful island off the west coast of Canada, close to Vancouver, but not so close that you can get there that easily. And we decided to open up our own yoga school. And let me tell you, it was terrifying and exciting all at the same time. We started off small. We had to create a company, which we did. And it was really just following the steps, looking at, okay, what do we need to do? If we want to start a yoga school or a yoga business, we need to start some kind of corporation or some kind of company. So we did that. And I think even at the beginning, we just ran it as sole proprietors. But at some point, it makes sense for many reasons, sometimes insurance reasons, sometimes income reasons, to open up your own business. And so we incorporated and had our own company, and then eventually got our own studio space where we were paying for a lease and having students come. And still at this time, very little business strategy outside of make connections, say yes to as many things as possible that feels like they're furthering the mission and the exposure of people to your business. Bring in as many clients as you can and keep the expenses low. That was the whole strategy. That gets you pretty far, actually, to be honest. We did not really know anything about advertising, or I think at that time, just Facebook was starting to become a thing and Instagram was starting to become a thing. And so I would use that a little bit, but I wasn't using it super strategically, just more for fun and to also let people know what we were doing, what we were up to, which felt really good and nourishing and fun. It was kind of a different time on social media. And after running our yoga school for 7 years, we made several trips back to Mysore during that time, which was great because we got to leave cold Canada and go to warm India in the winter. But also we got to deepen our studies and practice for several months at a time. Again, going into our own personal development and into our own spiritual practice. We also had a young son at the time, so it was a really nice time to be able to get away and just spend that time with him as he was growing up before school started. And also at that time, I got my advanced certification from Sharat Joyce back in 2015. It was a real honor and a blessing after spending over 10 years, 11 years, traveling back and forth between Mysore and wherever I happened to be at the time, spending many, many months investing in my own training, in my own education, in my own Ashtanga yoga practice. And I think I did almost 15 trips in those 11 years. So it was a lot of time that we spent there. And so it felt like a really beautiful circle coming to completion with that certification. And at that time, I felt then also I wanted to open up these teachings and what I'd learned to a wider global audience. So we sold our school, our business in Victoria, and a wonderful woman purchased it and ran that business herself for 7 years and has now handed it off to someone else. But we moved back to Calgary, Alberta, where I was born, and started a Mysore program here, one that Jeff continues to run today. But I really wanted to travel more and teach workshops and retreats around the world. So that's what drew me into the next iteration of my business, where it was really about making income from these shorter periods of time where I'm getting a group of people to commit to being in a container. And that allowed for really deep transformation and change. But what I started to notice was that my interests, almost like the path was going in two directions. There was more and more students interested in the physical aspects of the yoga practice. They really wanted to know the tips, the tricks, the drills. What muscles do I need to strengthen? How do I need to be more flexible? It was very anatomical, very physically minded, physically based. How can I get to the next posture or the next series? Or what can I do to deepen this posture? And then there was this other path that was more attractive to me because it was really my heart. It was really the interest for me in the yoga practice from the beginning, which was more about the subtle energy and the movement of subtle energy, kundalini, prana, the chakras, how it feels from the inside, the meditation, the subtle body experience. And even the way I taught was always focused on that. People would say, what do I need to do? Strengthen my lats? And I'd be like, you need to go inside and feel where the energy is in your body and lift it from your pelvic floor. Lift it from the inside, connect to that core energy. And, what your lats are doing is kind of beside the point. If you just connect to the energetic principles of the posture, your body will do the thing. So for me, that was always more of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to teach. I didn't want to teach drills. I didn't want to be a personal trainer. That was not of interest to me. I didn't want to be a Pilates teacher or an aerobics teacher or even a nutritionist. I just wanted to look at enlightenment, awakening, subtle energy, healing from the inside out, how consciousness moves through our body. What does that all mean? What does it feel like? What does it look like? How can we enhance it? How can we grow it? How can we develop it? That's what really turned me on. So around 2019, I had a young 8-year-old son. I was traveling for half the year or more, and I really started to feel the strain on my physical body. I could tell that my prana, my energy just wasn't the same as when I had been at home with a regular routine, practicing, all the time. And I knew something had to change. I didn't want to be away so much. I didn't want to be traveling so much. And so that's when I made my first real investment in business education. I had this idea that I wanted to create an online business, that I wanted to move more into coaching, more into guiding people from an online platform so that I could work from home. I didn't have to travel and work, and I could also work anywhere in the world, and I could work with clients from anywhere in the world. So that was where my big vision went to. And I knew that I needed help. I needed to find out from an expert how to build an online business. I needed some strategy and some structure and some tools to help me get there. I wasn't going to be able to do it alone. And so that's when I invested in B School. And that was my first business program. And to be honest, it has been the foundation of my business. It continues to be the foundation of my business. And I've taken other business development programs since then. But B School, to me, I always go back to it. It has everything in it. So B School was created by Marie Forleo, and she's become a business coach and mentor of mine that I get to work with pretty regularly in her group programs. And it really changed my life. And it came at the perfect time because I was perfectly positioned, having made this investment, having made this decision to open up and build and create something online for myself and for my clients and students that were all around the world at this point, that COVID happened in 2020. And so here's the crazy thing. I was kind of perfectly set up while everyone else was scrambling to figure out how to go online. I had already started laying some of that groundwork and some of that foundation. But it was not easy. It was not an easy transition. I'm a yes person. I say yes to so many things. And it's a gift and it's a blessing and it's growing my business in many, many ways. But it's also a bit of an obstacle as well because you end up doing 50 things instead of one thing. And so it creates potentially growth, but kind of wide growth rather than fast vertical growth. And so I was saying yes to so many things. I was doing workshops online. I was building my online inner circle mentorship program in its first iteration. I was building an online course, my Ancient Breathing 2.0, the Pranayama course. I then built another breathwork course for coaches and entrepreneurs. I was also teaching workshops and classes for other people. I was teaching for my friend Mei Yoshikawa. She opened up her own online yoga studio, and I was teaching classes in Japan for the Japanese students there. I was doing everything. I was coaching. I had invested in a coach training program, my very first one at the end of 2019. And so I had gone through this certification program and the advanced certification program, written an exam for the national board exam for health and wellness coaches, and got certified this credential at this level. So I was studying as well and just doing pretty much everything, writing blogs on recipes, on yoga postures, on kriyas, and filming videos and doing a ton of social media and just really so many things. It was kind of a crazy time. Sometimes I laugh when people tell me about their 2020 year in 2021 when, it was so peaceful and they could garden and relax and focus on their own practice, because for me, it felt like the exact opposite. I felt like I went into hyper work mode, which of course, as we know, is also a protection strategy, but it really burnt me out. And so by 2022, I was completely exhausted. However, I had built a pretty amazing online business that I wanted to serve. And then the world started opening up again, and some invitations started to come in for me to travel and teach, which I also felt like I wanted to do that too. So now I was stuck trying to figure out how to maintain the online business that I created, as well as service and teach classes, workshops, retreats in person, and do both at the same time while feeling completely exhausted and burnt out. So I rested as much as possible. That was one thing I learned. I said no to some things, which was another important lesson, like the things that weren't aligned with, where I felt aliveness and didn't feel like they were going to help move my business forward. I was also working with a business coach at the time, so that was also helping me to stay committed to working both in my business and on my business, which is one of the challenges when you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business. Is it's easy to get stuck working in the business. You're working with your clients or teaching your students classes. You're doing all of the things that you need to do to keep your business going, to serve and support the clients and customers and students that are coming to you. But then where is the big vision? Where is the time for that CEO mindset where you're able to step back and really look at, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years? How do I want this business to take shape and move and grow? I needed to actually kind of step back and work just enough in my business to help me stay afloat. But also I was able to rest a little bit and seek out some support from a functional medicine doctor to find out what was going on, because we had no idea. And then I learned that I had Hashimoto's, which was wreaking havoc a little bit with all the systems, because as we know from an integrative functional health perspective, when one thing's a little out of whack, it starts to throw everything out of whack, especially when you're looking at the thyroid gland and the antibodies attacking your thyroid gland, which is sort of a central governing system for all different types of hormone regulation in your whole body. And it was pretty frustrating. It was frustrating to want to keep moving and want to keep working, but just having the body say no, and you need to rest. But I got really good at napping. So that's the upside. And, that kind of breakdown also led to one of my biggest breakthroughs. I think I had some personal family things going on at the time that energetically were very challenging, emotional things to deal with. I felt like I was actually processing a lot of ancestral trauma through my body at the time. There was a lot going on. And so instead of just going down this physical health route of, taking hormones or, trying to put a Band-Aid on or a quick fix on, I actually did a little bit more of a introspective deep dive and started looking at ancestral trauma and the energy that we carry from our families, from our culture, the energy we carry in ourselves. And that recognition that I couldn't keep going the way that I was going, and also with this pattern that had served me for a really long time. It was a pattern of overworking. And my whole life, you can look at that pattern of, if I just do more or do it better or go harder, I'll get the results I want. And that's probably a very common pattern that most of us have, which is more, work longer, work harder, and you'll get the result. But that pattern was not serving me anymore. It couldn't. I wasn't able to work harder or longer or faster. I was only able to go at the pace I was able to go at. And it made me start to look at where this pattern came from, how long it had been driving my actions. What were the repercussions also of this pattern? What were some of the other patterns that are linked into this pattern? What was the root source? Where did it come from? And so doing that deeper work, of course, I registered into a third coach training program, which was the Institute for Coaching Mastery. And I met Alyssa Nobriga, who's an incredible coach and inspiration for me and has an amazing, amazing program that I'm feeling very fortunate to be able to support as a student support coach this year. And it also led me to Dr. Sarah Jane and spinal energetics, because both of these women are just real pioneers and visionaries in taking all of their years of experience in meditation and Eastern somatic practices and integrating them with Western science and psychology. And I stepped into a new space where everything came into completion, where all of those years of yoga and meditation and pranayama were really preparing me for this deeper understanding of the subtle energy body and the movement of this energy in the body, how it gets stuck, how we store it, and then also this transformational methodology, the mastery method for coaching, where we work with clients on the somatic level, the emotional, mental level, the physical, behavioral level, as well as the unconscious level. And they were mirroring each other perfectly. So the coaching methodology, where you're working with all aspects of ourselves as a human, is also mirrored in the spinal energetic, where you are working, yes, with the body, but you're working with the layers of energy, which are also like you have your physical layer, which is the densest, most visible form of energy. And then you have your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body, your personal soul. You have an ancestral body, and really tapping into how all of these aspects of ourself are interconnected, and how there can be kind of like a fixation or a hang-up or an obstacle in one of these places that we have to come into and be with it and feel it and allow it to move through our body physically, yes, but also through our emotions, also through our mind. And it was just this holistic mirror that was being shown to me by two incredible women who are so supportive, so open, so sharing, very non-hierarchical, very community-minded, very much collectively minded, uplifting everyone as a collective. It was a very different structure than I had experienced in all of my years in India, which was a very top-down model. It was very much hierarchical. There's a guy at the top, and he's the boss, and the rest of us are somewhere below. And there's a pecking order, there's a hierarchy, and it usually has to do with how many times you've been to Mysore or how closely connected you are with the guy at the top. And that kind of structure started to feel very unhealthy for me. And so it was incredibly liberating to meet these two awesome women who had a very different approach to business, very different idea about what successful business looks like, and wanted to share in authority and share tools and resources and have the students or the people who are coming to them to learn make them their own. And it felt very liberating to have this kind of collective energy, uplifting, encouraging, supporting each other as a collective. And so it was just a really beautiful time of transformation for me personally, and to have such role models, probably these three women, Marie Forleo with her B School and her Dream Business Bootcamp, as well as she has also her Dream Club, which I'm a member of as well, that helps to continue to support me in my own business growth. But then also Alyssa Nobriga with the Institute of Coaching Mastery, and Dr. Sarah Jane, the founder of Spinal Energetics. All of them are incredibly powerful, incredibly compassionate, driven, successful women who have spent years in their respective fields and are offering their education, their training to help other humans, and most of them have a majority of women in their communities, grow and thrive and excel in their own businesses, all really supporting and uplifting other women around them. And so that really led me to what I wanted to do after becoming certified in the Mastery Method, as well as a certified spinal energetic practitioner. It really just opened up my mind and my experience and gave me new tools to facilitate a deeper release of stored patterns using the energy body as well as these layers of energy and connecting to our physical being, as well as working on the mental, emotional, spiritual, and ancestral planes, and just bringing greater awareness and alignment and balance and health and well-being to the whole person on every level. And that's why I love these tools, because I use them for my own personal integration. I get regular spinal energetics work every other week. I'm getting an online session myself, and I get in-person sessions whenever there's not that many spinal energetic practitioners here in Calgary. So it's harder to come by in person here in the city where I am. But I also love offering these sessions both online and in person when I'm traveling and teaching workshops and retreats. It's just been incredible to see the release, the transformation, to help students, to help clients be able to connect with their deeper consciousness, with their subtle energy body, to have them really feel their energy, to feel their own internal shifts and transformation, to release the stored emotion, to release those held patterns, to let go of some of the invisible baggage that we carry around in our bodies. It's been absolutely incredible. And so this is how I love to work with students and clients now. And I see it as so important in our spiritual evolution, both individually and collectively. So here's what I've come to understand. The mind is not as smart as we think it is. It's kind of like a Google search, really. It just looks for the evidence of what we already believe. And so if you believe the world is scary, your mind is going to look around and find all the proof that you need. And if you believe that the world is loving and full of people who are trying to help you and are compassionate, then the mind will look around and find all the proof that you need. And that's why we have to go deeper into those unconscious thoughts and beliefs and patterns. We need to go into the body to notice where we've stored those past emotions, and into the heart to connect with our own inner compass, our own inner soul, and also into our energy field, because it never lies. Everything we experience first as energy, either in our body or coming to our body. And I've seen how when we're able to help ourselves let go of some of those pre-programmed thoughts and beliefs, that the business part of the journey just opens up. It explodes. The path becomes free and easy. Whenever I come up to a block in my own business where I feel like, oh, I really should be doing this, but I just feel like kind of, whether it's a sense of like procrastination or a feeling of like, oh, I don't really want to, but I should, or, oh, this person expects me to do it. Whenever I come up against those kinds of blocks, I know there's something deeper going on. Or when I really do want to do something, but there's a feeling of like, oh, maybe I'll just do everything else before I do this other thing. There's a little block there. And it's probably not a conscious block. It's not me saying, oh, I don't want to do this because it's going to take too much time or too much energy, or I have to do all these other things first. Like, those are just the reasons that we make. We make meaning out of our feelings or out of what's happening. So when we are able to go in and then release those stored patterns or let go of the obstacles or even identify them or connect our consciousness to where we feel the block in the body and go to that deeper level and we integrate it. It's not about getting rid of it. It's about understanding, why is the block there, right? Maybe the block's there because I'm tired and my body's like, you need to rest. And I'm like, but I want to do more. And so looking at what is that deeper desire, what is the obstacle trying to help us understand or know or see about ourselves or our situation in life, then we're able to be with it and integrate it, and then it just dissolves. The path opens up because we've brought our awareness and our consciousness to the actual root of what's stopping the movement forward. So I've seen it in my own business. It happens all the time. I've seen it with my clients as well. When they're stuck in these patterns of overworking or overwhelm or procrastination or perfectionism, there's no amount of strategy that can help you until you clear the actual thing beneath the thing, right? So it's not good enough. Well, what's the thing beneath the thing? If that's what's coming up, or the avoidance, the procrastination, what is the feeling or the story or the memory or the sensation or the unconscious belief that's actually stopping you or causing the procrastination or causing the avoidance or causing the overworking pattern? And until you get to the underlying emotional, energetic aspect, the block won't move. It's always going to keep coming up again and again. And you can try to white knuckle it. You can try to willpower yourself into strategy. But as I've experienced myself, that is a recipe for burnout. You can only do it for so long, and the block comes back stronger and harder because you're not listening. You're not listening to what the body is trying to tell you, what the wisdom of your unconscious is trying to bring into your conscious mind. And so you can have the best seeds in the world, but if the soil isn't fertile where you plant them, they won't grow and they won't thrive. So that's how I came to doing the work that I do today, and why I've created a few different paths of working with me to kind of meet different clients and students where they're at. And so the first world you could enter is my Inner Circle membership, where we do a deep dive into the yoga philosophy, pranayama, chanting, as well as a Friday Mysore class where you can do self-practice and ask questions and get guidance. And we do it in a way that's all just about connecting to your aliveness and awakening your energy, not just perfecting poses. You don't have to come in and do anything in particular or in a particular way. My philosophy is that it's your practice and it's your space. And I'm just really there to hold and facilitate a space for you to do what feels right for you and to grow and expand in the ways that you want to, and to move your body and connect somatically, connect consciousness into your body in a way that feels natural and good and wholesome for yourself. And then a little bit of a level up is my Lightworker Mastermind for spiritual entrepreneurs, which includes everything in the Inner Circle mentorship. So you get all of that juicy philosophy and chanting and pranayama and yoga and all the somatic techniques. But you also get business coaching, where we focus on visions, values, creating your own personalized roadmap for whatever project or goal you have in mind. And then halfway through the month, we again have another coaching session, and we also have online spinal energetic sessions. So as a group, we come together collectively because our healing needs to also happen as a collective in community. And so we come together, and after some business coaching, we have the spinal energetic session I facilitate, and it helps to just move the tension, move those things that are coming up through the body. You release them, and the path opens up. And I've found in my own journey, doing regular energy work with spinal energetics has helped so much to keep my nervous system regulated and balanced, and also to release the tension patterns in the body in a way that my body wants to release them. It's a little different from yoga, which is very structured and masculine and organized, whereas spinal energetics is really tapping into the feminine side of that spiritual energy, into that kundalini activation type energy, rather than trying to force your body into a particular position or movement. And then I also do individual spinal energetic sessions online or in person. And you can catch me in person if you want to try an in-person spinal energetic session. I will be in Gothenburg, Sweden, in March 21st to the 30th. You can just send me a DM. We'll find a time that we can book you in. And also come to my Turkey retreat, July 9th to the 18th. There's lots of time there for us to have sessions. And early bird pricing for this retreat ends at the end of February. So get your buns into the Turkey retreat. It's a small, intimate group. It's going to be an amazing time this year. It's a beautiful little Mediterranean village that we all get to hang out in, and a beautiful boutique hotel. There's beaches, there's boats, there's wine vineyards. There's all kinds of things you can explore and seek out for yourself. There's also an ancient city of Ephesus a few hours away. You can take a day trip and go see it. Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing retreat. And I would just love for you to join July 9th to the 18th. There's a few spots left, so grab those early bird prices. It's going to be a really, really fun retreat this year, and all focused on coaching and energy healing as well as yoga. We do 3 hours of yoga every morning, pranayama. You get your own pranayama practice. By the end of the retreat, you'll know exactly what to do. Chanting, we recite mantra every morning, as well as the asana, Mysore style practice. And then the workshop sessions are a little bit more integrative, a little bit more explorative as far as how we're using our body, releasing energy. We do a nice holotropic breathwork session with spinal energetics as well as a group. It's so transformative. I am really excited. So I hope you come to this Turkey retreat, July 9th to the 18th. And then, of course, if you want to really do a deep dive, you can sign up for personalized one-on-one coaching with me. And you can think of this as a master's program for your personal transformation. We co-create together the roadmap to help you move from where you are now to where you want to be and overcome any of those little obstacles that come up in between. Some of those deeper patterns that maybe you're not even aware of that show up, that are keeping you stuck in that same repetitive cycle again and again and again. And this is just really the best way to create those ripple effects of positive change throughout your life. Because when you change how you are being with yourself in one area of your life, or you change one small action in one area of your life, it starts to pull the thread, and it affects, like the spider web, it affects all the other areas of your life. And it's just an incredibly beautiful program where we get to work together one-on-one each week, and you get to watch incredible magic unfold in your life. So those are the ways that you can work with me if you're interested. And of course, you have this podcast to listen to every week, which I hope brings you inspiration and joy and entertainment. Yeah, and you can find me around the world as well in different places teaching Mysore classes, retreats, and workshops. So, you know what amazes me is that really when we start shifting energy, and it's all about energy because everything on this planet is just energy vibrating at different speeds, right? Slower speeds, more dense, higher speeds, less dense. Colors are energy, sound is energy, vibration. It's all just vibration. Little molecules, invisible particles vibrating at different rates. Whether it's through coaching or yoga or energy work, when we start to shift our consciousness in one area of our life, it moves. It ripples out, it shifts little bits of things everywhere in our life. And I've just seen this so many times with clients. They start to transform their businesses after clearing out old emotional blocks. They start to clear out old emotional blocks after clearing out a bedroom, a physical area or physical space. It's all connected. It's all related. I've watched people step into their power, releasing tension patterns that they didn't even know they had, that they didn't even realize they were carrying. And all of a sudden, there's a whole new feeling of openness and expansion and ability to breathe and to feel and to move. It's so amazing. And that's why I'm so passionate about combining all of these approaches, because I feel we need to go beyond just these physical postures, just this repetitive pattern again and again and again of moving the body. It needs to be about actually going to the deeper parts of yourself, to uncovering the things that you don't even know are there, and combining the Eastern somatic technologies with the Western science and psychology and the emotional mastery work. It's not just about business strategy. It's not just about yoga poses. And it's not just about energy healing, the woo. It's about bringing it all together and coming home to yourself so that you can connect to your soul's purpose. What is your reason for being here on this planet? It's about really taking the consciousness and integrating it into all aspects of yourself, your mind, your body, your emotions, your ancestral lineage even, your personal dharma, like bringing that consciousness into every aspect of your life. When we bring that awareness into these different aspects, it's like turning a light on in a dark room. We start to see different things. So before we wrap up, I want to share one last thing, that if you're feeling called to go deeper to transform not just your business, but your whole way of being, then know that this is your invitation. This is your invitation to come work with me. You could join my B School bonuses and join B School and work with my coach mentor, Marie Forleo, if you really want to be focused on business. With that comes 3 months of my Lightworker Mastermind and 3 in-depth coaching sessions with me. So there's lots of different opportunities here that are open for you to jump into. And if you don't know what is right for you, then send me a DM. I'm happy to go back and forth with you on Instagram. I will get back to you and let you know what I think would work best. We can even jump on a Zoom call if you want. And I'm really happy to dive into exploring what would support you the most at this time in your life, at this crux or, crossing of the roads, crossing of the paths, which direction do you want to go? I'm happy to jump into a call and really help you figure that out. What I know for sure is that when we align our personal growth, follow our aliveness, say yes to what's lighting us up, protect our peace, protect our boundaries, and boundaries are really about you, about you feeling good in your space, right? So protecting our peace with some boundaries and moving our spiritual practice and our business development together in an aligned and integrative way with our true energy, then magic just happens. And it's not the kind of like woo-woo kind of magic. Well, maybe a little bit. It's not just like, think good thoughts and manifest $1 million. But actually what happens is real, tangible transformation starts to unfold when you come into alignment with yourself. Every time we're experiencing dis-ease or discord or a lack of integration or harmony in ourselves, it shows up as that lower vibration or as that negative kind of feeling. It shows up as a repulsion or as a overdrive, right? A desire. We get stuck in those poles, the raga dvesha, the desire and the aversion. We're always kind of going to those polar opposites. And whenever we're stuck in those polar opposites, there's a lack of integration. There's a lack of coming to the center, of finding the middle path, as the Buddha would say. What is the middle path? The middle path is the integration. It's the balance. It's allowing for both. It's saying yes and, right? It's the acceptance. And that's what we need to do. We need to have the awareness and then have the acceptance of what is happening, the acceptance of whatever's showing up for us, welcoming it rather than trying to push it away or resist it or cut it off or get rid of it. We welcome it. We bring it into our peace, into our space, into our field of energy. And then from there, once it's accepted and integrated, we can move into aligned action, and it's powerful. It happens in the most powerful way for people. the obstacles just melt away. They're dissolved. It's incredible. It's so amazing to see people find that freedom in their lives and experience true freedom and take action courageously and boldly without anything holding them back. It's amazing. So thank you so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, letting me share my journey with you today. And until next time, I hope you keep following your aliveness and living your dream. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.